Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another OCC podcast. I'm your host, David Jansen, and tonight joining us is Brad Grundy. How are you doing, Brad?
Hey, doing great.
Hey, thank you so much for coming on. How about you tell us a little bit of your journey and story before arm wrestling?
Yeah, sure. Let me get some better lighting. There we are. But before arm wrestling, so I was a pretty basic dude, just did wrestling in high school. I was pretty good, not great. My ankles were always too messed up. They were broken since I was 6. So I never really had a double leg. I kind of had to throw everyone and muscle everyone. So that was my shtick. And it was good for, state level, but it wasn't college level good. So I never really made it past top. I never made in the top 3 state category. I went to states all 4 years, but it was never like the high level states.
Yep.
Yeah, so that, and except for that, it was probably about it. I was never a team sports guy. I did a little bit of rowing, which helped the forearms for sure. Um, and it made my legs really big, which I'm still struggling with. So I have all this extra weight now. Yeah, it sucks. They used to be all muscle, and now they just turned into all fat. So I'm kind of just this big leg dude who doesn't use legs at all anymore. Except for that, though, a little bit of boxing, a little bit of MMA, no team sports really. Um, Joined the Army after high school and did that for 4 years. So that's actually where I started arm wrestling, was Korea. So I was just really bored doing rugby, doing wrestling, jujitsu, anything I could to, take a break from work. And then my little Korean buddy was there, and he had this flyer that was all in Korean, and it was for this basement in Korea. And he took me there, and there was all these smaller Korean dudes, and I kind of watched them. And then they brought out like the giant Korean dudes, and they just destroyed my wrist. So yeah, I was hooked.
No, that's awesome. So, the journey of arm wrestling now, obviously, as you've gone so far from there, from Korea, and I think I've seen you had a match years ago with Ji Min, or I don't
Yeah.
know if that's the right guy. But yeah, and you've really climbed the ladder going from there. How did you finesse your technique and stuff? And obviously, if you were in the army and stuff, how did you make it work with your time and stuff?
Yeah. So I'll answer the second question first. So I got really lucky with my army service. So I was honor guard in Yongsan, which was like at the time 50 people on base. So we were like more than half of the people on base. No military police, nothing. And our hours were, um, it was 8 hours for 3 days in a row, and then 3 days off. So I had, or no, 12 hours, sorry, 12 hours and 3 days off. So I had like the easiest hours ever. I was spending all my free time arm wrestling and hanging out with Korean people who were arm wrestlers. So I had basically the easiest just training camp for the first 9 months of my arm wrestling career, to where I just skyrocketed from being okay at arm wrestling to beating the number one guy in Korea within 8 months. So that was really the highlight of my career. Probably was the first 8 months actually, just training and learning everything, because that's kind of the honeymoon phase where like everything's new. I was like watching Ryan Bowen, I was watching Devin Larratt. It was when Juji Mufu made his video, is what got me into it. So I was watching everything I could find. Mendagas had some stuff, Travis, and I really haven't changed my training since then. So I had a good foundation, and that's kind of why the move I have developed that way, was because I had to be the King's mover at first. So I had to have really good rise, really good technique, never hanging on. And then after I had that King's move down, I would beat. This is a practice match, but I went to practice, my very first practice in America, really. I pulled Michael Todd, and I beat him a good bit at the end of practice. I think it was like 20 times in a row or something. Then some little 154-pound dude who hooks just destroyed me. So I had zero um, experience with anything but a King's move almost. It was all just super specified training. So eventually I slowly worked out the kinks and learned how to pronate with my shoulder more. So I don't really believe in pronation of the forearm too much. I think unless you have a really big thumb, it's just not worth training that much. So I'm much more of a rotational, body rotational, shoulder rotation pronator. And I usually have it, I don't want to say locked, because I want to be able to pronate to here. If I lock my pronation here, that means I'm maxing out my own pronation, which is a bad thing. And most of the guys who keep their elbow inside their body, they'll max out their pronation right here. And that's
Yep.
a horrible thing. Yeah. Because you can barely take someone's wrist because you're already there. So the best you can do is kind of just go and hope like they hang on to you. When really I actually do the opposite, is I almost supinate, which gives my forearm all this ability to twist all the way around. And I learn how to pronate through the shoulder, and I try to access everything but my pronator in the setup, to where in the setup now I can just pronate and roll my shoulder out a little bit, and I have access to all that stuff. But it doesn't even feel like thumb pronation. It's very much just high hands. If anything, shoulder and brachialis and back pressure.
And then a lot to do with your joint and stuff as well, like as you're coming across.
Yeah, yeah. And I wouldn't even say like you think like elbow joint and stuff, but actually like really, I'm usually thinking about my hips and stuff and my feet placement, and just making everything to where it just kind of has to go that way, if that makes sense. Like you're so
Yep.
perfectly set up. Yeah, yeah. It just
No,
has to
that's
be moved this way.
incredible. So obviously from very beginning of your arm wrestling stage, you found your technique and stuff, which a lot of guys take normally quite a while to finesse their certain technique and stuff. Did you start to have a specific training other than maybe table practice and stuff that you did to really advance your move and stuff? Because we've seen you go against some of the best in the world, and you haven't won all your matches, but you've been close, and you've beaten Matt Mask.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
Botcha Nashville maybe didn't look close, but
Macho was
when
good.
you're
Yeah.
yeah, when you're at going for the top guys, like sometimes there's a bit of a gap and stuff. But like you're there, you're on that level, sort of level, and what puts you close to that level and stuff? Because obviously, like Devin is doing now, it's mainly table time, but a lot of guys do
Mhm.
different than that. So, kind of, what's your basis?
Yeah, so I would say if you're new to arm wrestling, you never want to be looking back and being like, I should have done this, this, and this, right? You want to figure out as much as you can at the very beginning. Obviously, it's impossible to get 100% correct, but you can get pretty darn close. Like Philip Larson's pretty close, and he talks to like Ed Cohen and stuff. That's what you should be doing. So for me, I tried to like get the advice from all the best poolers, like Mendagas, Travis, all the guys who I thought weren't winning from strength, they were winning from technique. And I also studied all the WAF matches, so and Arm TV. So I would go through and just watch, the full whatever 12-hour sessions of all these WAF matches, left hand, right hand, and I would study the biomechanics. And you even if you don't like verbally know things, like when I was new, I didn't really I wasn't preaching anything, I wasn't like talking about it, but I could just subtly pick up like this is how certain people pull. Like Pushkar, even him, who's a really strong guy, he has a certain way of arm wrestling, and I would replicate that for fun. I would play with it, and I would start to notice some patterns everyone kind of has. So one of the big ones is not having your elbow inside your body. That is one of the worst things you can do, and almost no one at the high level does it. There's a few certain exceptions to like if you're pulling a King's mover, since there's no side dynamic, it's not a bad option. You can put your elbow inside and just focus on rising, since there's no side to take you off center. But if there is a side dynamic, you're going to be under your arm, and you always want to be over your opponent. If my elbow is here, I'm more under. If I'm here, I'm more over. So a super extreme example of this would be Botcha when he pulled me. So in East versus West, what I found out pretty quick was you're allowed to have your wrist here as long as it's straight with your forearm. So you can put your elbow on the outside, and this is considered straight, right? So imagine where your opponent's hand is right here. It's just
Terrible.
directly under. Yeah. So if you can really manipulate that, you can go here, and then even if your wrist gets cracked, you have enough, how do I say this? Like 90-degree angle in your forearm, almost like Todd Hutchings, where you can just finish the motion because you're already set. Like your arm angle is already set. Sorry, this is a horrible location
No,
to
no,
do
I,
this, but
I understand it, and those watching will have to understand it
hopefully,
and maybe
yeah,
manipulate it on the table and stuff to
yeah.
replicate it.
That was the biggest learning moment for me in the match. Was just the I never experienced that. Someone just putting their elbow on the outside and then having the wrist pretty set, and then even being cool with it going back just because their arm was so 90. Um, yeah, except for that, I would say John Donaher. Do you know him?
I do not.
Okay, probably the greatest jiu-jitsu coach of all time. He has amazing just quotes in general. So one of his quotes is, never do the same thing everyone else is doing and expect be the best or one of the best or to be great or whatever. Because that's just, at that point, it's A, stupid, and B, a little bit of arrogance. Because if you're doing the same thing, you're not that much more special than everyone else, right? So
Yep.
I see these guys on Reddit who have like the same training programs. They all have the same ones. And they're all kind of, I don't want to say shit, but they're not, they're not super high level guys. And they're all, a little amateurish. So you have to have something that sets you apart from everyone else. And everyone has their own biomechanics. For me, it's kind of like a small thumb, a small hand, but a big wrist, and a pretty short forearm for my weight. So I try to maximize rise, right? If I was pulling like Devin, I would be horrible. And if I was pulling with my muscles, I wouldn't be great either, because I'm not taking, well, right now, I'm not taking anything. I've taken a 10-day cycle in the past, but really I've tried to be pretty drug free. So I know that's not an option. Some of these guys, they know they can just be strong as crap, and it's awesome to watch. But if you don't have that option, you need technique, and you need specific technique. So Mendagas is amazing. He does some fantastic technique. Travis was, Travis is on stuff, but he also was usually the weaker guy. So he has amazing technique as well. These are the people I would study. Oh, sorry about that. Dave Patton. Dave Patton's also a great guy. But you want to be special. You want to specialize, and you always want to have, like, you want to be the dude doing something no one's done before, or only a few people have done. Yeah.
Explain to me a little bit what the difference is between using your muscles and then using your joint or your tendon, or the difference in that.
Yeah. So you probably need an actual, biology specialist to figure this out. But what it feels like, at least for me, is if I'm using my muscle, let's say dynamically. So I'm doing a curl, right?
Yep.
That would be all muscle pretty much, right? I mean, obviously
Hmm.
tendons and ligaments are being used in that, but mostly muscle, right? So for me, I try to do the opposite of dynamic. Let me do a better example. If I had a row machine and I was fully stretched out, right?
Yep.
Imagine I am much stronger and I can hold much more weight there than I can if I'm all pulled in, right? If I'm fully at the end of my range of motion, that is the hardest part. So for me, I try to extend everything. So that even includes my wrist when I rise. If my wrist is all cocked up here, it's going to want to go down because I'm at that position where I'm tucked in like a row machine, right? So
Yep.
for me, I try to lock it in almost straight, but almost a little down as well. And Travis does the same thing. You actually see, even for his high hands, his wrist is almost like that. It's lower because you want that extension just so you can pull just like a row machine when you're out here and you can just yank on it. So that same thing is actually for your bicep and for a lot of other stuff. It's going to put more strain on the tendons because the muscle isn't being used dynamically. You're at the end of your range of motion. So whether that's in a hook when you're turning your shoulder, whether that's for a top roll when you're not trying to get super tight, but you're just you're pushing away almost to where your bicep, even here, my arm looks tight, but the bicep's pretty extended actually. Like that would be tight. This is pretty extended. It's much more of a feeling thing, but and it's super hard to explain right now. I'm sorry, I should have got a better place to videotape, but you definitely want to have that. It's like a hanging on of your tendons, just like the row machine, where you would just be like everything in your joints is just extended and wants to yank. That's why when you see a lot of these guys like Alijan, he's literally just yanking people. Like he finds a lock in his arm and then just yanks the crap out of people. And it's awesome. That's the coolest thing ever. But that's what he's doing. He's finding a joint lock. He's finding some kind of ligament tendon catch, and then he's yanking with it.
Well, and you'll see that is also a certain technique that a person from nearby here, Crazy George, the King's
Yeah.
move. It is
Yep.
one of those moves as well. It's where you're finding that point where you can create the most tension through your tendons, essentially, and then you just keep working through it, and you hang
Yeah.
up a lot of people like that.
Hmm. That's extreme because that's, I mean, your arm's all calcified at that point. So
Yeah,
yeah. Have you pulled Crazy George?
yeah. I am a sister club to him. So yeah, just literally,
Okay.
he had a super match 2 weeks ago. Saturday was a
Yeah.
super match he had recently. Yeah, it's awesome.
That
Yeah,
is
so I
awesome.
see
Is he
him
like,
quite.
Is he 78 now?
Yeah, I don't know if he's 78, but he's definitely mid 70s. Yeah, I
He
forget.
needs
I
an
always
East vs.
forget his.
West match.
Yeah, he does. He needs a Legends match or something for sure. But yeah,
You don't think he can keep up with the young kids?
no, at the level they're at now, and with all the kind of juice that people and stuff are using,
Yeah.
he's very strong and he's extremely technical and stuff still. But his endurance isn't as good, and he's I think the ready go, that the quick hit that a lot of these younger pullers have and stuff, that would
Okay.
be a little bit out of the range that you'd like to see, because he's having a bit of shoulder issues and stuff.
Okay. You think 100 knobs would be too much for him then?
Oh, I don't know. I think he could probably hang him up, especially a guy that's going in a hook. I don't think
That's what
would
I'm
beat him.
thinking.
I
Yeah.
don't think Coach Ray's gonna beat him. I don't think so.
You don't? Oh, dude, then he would
No.
be amazing at 154. Coach Ray's pretty good.
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe he'd surprise me probably. Like, I know he's really good and he hangs up most guys. Like, he's putting 240 guys still. He's hanging them up.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
I
yeah,
felt
no,
him.
he's really good.
I felt him last January. He still felt strong then.
Yeah.
So I think he would still have plenty of competition at 154, but we'll see.
Yeah, he feels strong, but the problem is why I think so many people feel he's so strong is when you're on the practice table, you're not hitting him. And that's not me saying that he's weak and stuff, but I don't know how much he wants to put in on his body still at this age. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. There is a good bit of loading at East vs. West, and I'm sure like no one wants to be the dude who fouls out a 75-year-old. So I'm
Yeah.
sure he could get away with a good bit. But yeah, I think he'd be all right with the hits and stuff at East vs. West.
Yeah. No, he's incredible, and he's a great coach and stuff, guy to talk with and stuff all the time. He's great to hang out with.
Yeah.
So on the note of using biomechanics and stuff in arm wrestling, I've heard and stuff, and you can explain it maybe, that you're going to be a doctor or something.
Yeah, dude, honestly, arm wrestling has pushed it back like literally almost a year. Um, I got some illnesses after certain events, so then I was out for school for almost a month and a half. Then I did bad in school during one match, and then like it just certain classes got pushed back. I should have been probably going to med school this fall. Then now I'm going next fall, so I'm doing MCATs coming up in January. But it's just been I've been making it a super painful process. So I've been trying to do too many things, but I think I have a pretty good balance now where I'm doing not near as much arm wrestling, but enough to stay pretty high level, I think.
Oh, that's incredible, and I do really wish you well in that in the future and stuff. A well, it's been a while, but I think it was shortly after the Matt Mask match, you threw out an offer and stuff for a certain amount of money, and you wanted to pull some guys. Whatever happened with that?
Well, I stopped arm wrestling because I couldn't. I got a match with Michael, and then it got shut down by East vs. West at the time. It wasn't, it was just they have contracts and stuff, right? So Michael offered to pull for 5,000, and then everyone else just thought I was offering. I think Michael, Devin, Todd Hutchings, Dave, a few other guys, just $5,000 just to pull me. And then everyone else, I was like, let's bet, let's put money on the line, and I'll put anyone, 5,000 against anyone in America. And they all thought like I was just putting money for them, and there was no, it wasn't a bet. It was in their head. It was just me paying them to pull me. So I had to clarify that. Didn't have any takers. Then East vs. West happened right next door to me, and I didn't get invited. So I was not upset, but I was just like, what am I doing right now? I'm putting all this time in arm wrestling, because at the time it was like, geez, it was a lot of time, dude. It was almost my entire day every day was like studying arm wrestling, like getting everything perfect. And I was really strong then too, but I took a break. I just started chilling out for a while, screwing around, doing wrestling, rugby. Then I got my back fixed, which was huge. And then I came back and like everything was super wonky. So I've been kind of struggling through that for a while. But I'm getting back to normal, or how I was at least. Yeah.
Tell us a bit about that, how your back is fixed and stuff. I know you came out with a short video then saying my back's fixed and stuff. And to some, they might not understand that and stuff. And to me, it was huge news, because I personally am a follower of Jesus, and I believe in healing and the miracles that Jesus still does. And so I just thought it was incredible. And just to hear that firsthand from another arm wrestler and stuff, that there are still things like that happening. I thought it was awesome. Give us a bit of clarification and just tell us kind of the story and the timeline.
Yeah, sure. So been having back issues for a long time because my ankle is all jacked up, and it was never super serious. Arm wrestling kind of sped around the scoliosis route, and I got checked, and my back wasn't twisted like this. It was just twisted rotationally. And I was getting C1 work done. I was getting some, muscle therapy stuff, a lot of physical therapists. I was just kind of cycling through, trying to find anyone who could fix it. Um, yeah, then I was kind of at wit's end. I wasn't arm wrestling at the time. I was just trying to get back to normal and be healthy. And I was sitting outside my church, and I just, I prayed for a long, long time, a few hours. Then I remember I'm not sure if you've had any experiences like this where you feel something like you can't even explain it because it's not I've never felt it before. It's
Yep,
like something outside yourself almost.
yep, for
And
sure. I've
yeah,
experienced that in the past.
yeah, and I think most people who have faith have had experiences like that where it's something greater than themselves. And I mean, theology, I love talking about theology, but usually those experiences are what define someone's faith, I think. And so that happened, and I kind of remember the verse where it was like, "Believe you have received it, and it's already, it's been yours. If you believe you have received it, I'll give it to you," basically. Um, and I made that post on Facebook, and then I got out of the car and I started running, and I felt fantastic. And running has been an issue for me these last couple of years, just because I'm all wonky. Like one leg will hit the pavement way different than the other leg. It'll be super jacked up, and I'll feel worse after I go for a run. And I went for a run. I think it was, I don't know, maybe a mile, but like before that, I was not running anywhere close to that. Felt great. Walked around for a few miles, um, and I made that video where I was just ecstatic, being like, I got fixed. And even if you watch the video, like at least when I watched it again, like my demeanor was different. Like I did feel different, and I do feel different now for my back. But that was a super special moment for me, and it's kind of set me on this path where my whole life's changed. So I got baptized a month and a half ago now, and that as well was another moment of something greater than me happening. So that, and now I'm checking out an Orthodox church, just trying to find out as much as I can about Christianity and the early faith. I'm not sure if I'm going to commit to Orthodox, but it's definitely nice to know. Have you looked into any of the early church stuff, or?
So I was lucky enough to be born into a Christian family, and
Mhm.
my dad is like more of a conservative, believing Christian, and so I've had a little bit of different. I've gone to a bit of different churches over the last couple of years, meeting my wife, and then so on and so forth. So I've gone to Orthodox church and stuff, but it was more of just a um, conservative church, non-denominational, where I grew up. So it was
Mhm.
just worship hymns, and then
Yep.
obviously your message and stuff, the preaching in the morning, and then I've gone attended a Pentecostal church for about a year, and then wasn't quite sure about that, and then so now we attend a church. Been attending for 4 years, just a local church, and they're very community based,
Yeah.
Christian founded,
Great.
and
Mhm.
I love what they do for the community, and just the people in the church are amazing. So that's kind of where we found ourselves at home, and we feel comfortable there. Having a daughter, and then my wife's pregnant with our second, so comfortable to also bring them into a group of people that we trust and stuff.
Yeah, dude, that's awesome. I'm kind of think on the same page with you, where like the community service and like the helping people out has always been the main thing for me. So like
Yeah.
I'm not sure what you guys do at your church, but like here they do some like aid stuff. They do feeding the poor, preaching to the poor, stuff like that. Um, and I having explored a little bit now, I do think like it's more so not necessarily like the branch of Christianity they follow, but more so just the individual church where it differentiates a lot. Like there's horrible Protestant churches I've seen, and there's great Protestant churches, and now I'm seeing more of that in the Orthodox as well, where there's great ones out there. But I'm not sure if I yet believe that it makes too much of a difference, necessarily your theology
Yeah.
to some extent.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, I kind of agree on that. I think there's great things in theology and stuff, and there's great pieces, and to study it and to learn it. My dad's actually so I'm trilingual and I come from Mennonite heritage, and
Mhm.
so my dad is on a translation team for another Bible in a German dialect. And so I've learned about history and the whole Protestant movement over the years. For years and years, I've heard about all that kind of stuff. But yeah, our church has a home for homeless, and they do a whole once a week. They have it's kind of a branch off our church, but our church is a huge part of it. And
Yep.
so they help for housing for homeless. They have a couple apartments, and then they also do food. I think last month served over 2,000 meals.
Oh, wow.
And then we did once a year. They have a fundraiser and stuff, and then you can donate or whatever, and then they do it like a charity walk or whatever. But you can bike ride, walk, jog, whatever you want. And so, and yeah, did that with family and stuff. So trying to get more into that, and then now currently started. Want to get more into church. I've really slacked over the last couple of years, and so started doing a Saturday morning Bible study with some guys.
Nice. Yeah, that's great. Yeah. Yeah. I think a lot of people do that as well once the whole Charlie Kirk thing happened. A lot of people came back. And I'm not sure
Yeah,
if that's
it
when you started or yeah.
no, I've been attending the church for 4 years, but
Mm.
it's just been like I've been there. I've been more of I've known the gospel and stuff. Been a Christian for years, but I was more just showing up on Sunday mornings
Yeah.
and doing whatever. And then it really just hit a note with me when Charlie Kirk passed and stuff.
Yeah.
And more what hit me was like, yeah, it sucked that he died and for his family, but it was the reaction that people were giving.
I feel the same
And
way.
then
Yeah.
and then I realized the reaction that I've had to people in the past couple of years that I disliked.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it reminded me of the people that were reacting poorly to Charlie Kirk.
Mhm.
And I was like, I need to change something.
Yeah. I had pretty much the exact same as you. Like my buddy would send me like George Floyd memes and I would laugh and I thought they were, yeah, but
Yeah.
I mean like, and
I
obviously
was
it's
I
different
was
people,
sending
but
them like
yeah, yeah. I get that, man. It's definitely a little humbling to have that slapped in your face because it is disgusting, like the reaction people had to his death. So yeah, I get it. But yeah, I think for me, I'm going to be doing I'm not sure exactly when, if either after my medical school and residency or probably before, I'll be doing some aid work overseas. But that's probably my trajectory regardless, is going to be overseas work. So
oh, that's incredible. And kind of where overseas would you look into and stuff? Because I've been kind of following your journey just behind the scenes for the last couple of
mm,
years, and I've seen you've kind of been around the world. You've been a couple different places. I know
yeah.
arm wrestling, anyways, that I've followed and stuff, and I think that's incredible to be able to travel. I'd love to travel more and stuff.
Mm.
But where is that you would really like to dedicate yourself, or would that be multiple places?
Probably multiple. I mean, maybe Kazakhstan with all the arm wrestling they have, right? That'd be a fun place to go. Um, but I think they have. So I know for a fact they have these programs where you go off and you teach people for like a month. So like the locals in the area, you teach them how to do medicine, either at like for me now a paramedic level, or later it would be like a doctor level. You would teach them for a month or two, then you move on to the next place, teach the locals, move on, and they have clinics in these areas kind of set up for that. That would be cool. I'm not a great teacher, I don't think though. So like I've been teaching people arm wrestling for forever now, and I think I'm really bad at it. So I might just try to do some work somewhere and just kind of hunker down and just have a little clinic. I'm part of a lot of the aid work overseas, not part of it, but I'm like familiar with it. So, I've been to Guatemala before doing that stuff. That's an option. I'm with a team right now who's doing Haiti and GR work. So I'd said the border, and Haiti right now is like they have people stuck in there and they're getting killed like with machetes and stuff. It's like,
What?
yeah, it is messed up, dude. So there's people in the church who have friends there who are just getting massacred. Yeah. And that's what it's not. I don't want to ever downplay anyone's death, but like the same day, I think it was the same day, maybe the day before Charlie died, 100 people, I think in the Congo, were martyred. And
A
I think,
hundred?
100, yeah, were martyred. And this isn't like murdered, like they were murdered for their faith. So I do think a lot of people in America aren't like fully realizing like how much persecution is going on in the world. And once you start getting in those circles, you're like, holy crap, like this is a huge problem, and we need to be, as Christians, we need to be either supporting the people who still there, but like really helping out any way we can. I think. I mean, you have a family, man, so it's different. I'm by myself, so I can do whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I do want to do some more time there. I just got to figure out if I'm going to do med school first, and that's probably the play, or just go over there as a paramedic and just help out immediately. So that's what I'm praying about.
Yeah, that's some crazy stuff. Also, this last weekend, somebody burning a church and killing 4 people, and so that was pretty crazy.
Yeah, I heard of that. Yeah.
Yeah. There's a question in the chat. Hey, Brad, would you pull 242 plus, so like super heavyweight, against, say, versus Nick Stone?
Oh, they're getting us back on track. So 242 plus Nick Stone. I think my right's a little bit above him. I think his left is above me. So I'm not sure if I think it's a good match yet. If his right's leveled up a bunch and he beats someone pretty good, I'd love that match. He's a cool guy. But I think right now we're kind of at that weird stage where his left is a lot better, and I think my right is a lot better. I could be wrong. But I would love to see him show up and beat someone of a high caliber. Then I'd love to have a match after that. Right now I'm pretty booked though. Next year it's pretty clean. I have Wallace Dilly, but except for that, I want to keep it clean for possibly going to Haiti and yeah. So I do want to probably just not commit to anything right now, and I have Arm Wars coming up. I can't say when, but it's coming up, and I have the Australian tournament, which is 4 weeks from now, or 3 weeks maybe. Then I have there's something else. Oh, a big tournament November 9th here in Clearwater. So it'll be with Marvin Cohen, Devin, a big over the top thing, kind of, I think.
Oh, very nice. Tell us a little bit about Over the Top Australia.
Yeah, so what I've been talking to a few of the Australians, trying to get my, figure out everything that's going on. And I think Reichard's going. I think Ryan's going. I think Lachlan's going. I don't think Brett Coots is going. I heard he got injured.
Oh, no.
Yeah. So I'm not sure if someone like Saunders is going. Does he have a match in Switzerland? Do you know?
No, Sanders is not on the card.
Okay, he's been training hard, so maybe he's going. There might be some like Uzbekistan guys or some Russians or something that are going that just haven't talked about it. That might show up. It's hard to say. There's so many Europeans who are like no one knows them, and they're actually just cracked. So it could definitely be some like big dude from any one of these countries that just wins the whole thing. But I do like my chances against Reichard, Lachlan, and Ryan. So yeah, I feel at least decently confident in the tournament.
You like your chances against Ricard. Well, I'm a huge fan of him. Have had him on before.
Yeah.
Give us a bit of what you think. Obviously, maybe you don't want to share your whole game plan going in, but those are Lachlan, Ricard. Some of those guys are some pretty tough dudes, and who knows who else is all in there.
Yeah. Yeah, Lachlan has that good kind of posting up hook. I think though, if I can keep him outside his wrist, and maybe shoulder a little bit, it'll be fine. But I could be saying all this stuff and get killed by him. It's hard to say. I don't even want to say my game plan. I do feel probably the slight favorite against Lachlan and Reichard. And I think Reichard's a little injured, which gives me an advantage. But if Reichard, is 100% healthy and has that nasty press, that would definitely be scary. But the top roll he has, I think, Pablo, he got pretty well. He had a really good setup as well. But I think it is not quite as developed as it should be because it's pretty new for him. It's like been, I don't know, 8 months in the making. But he's just strong as crap, Reichard. So he could just wash me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tell us a bit of, you've had some incredible matches. You've been to Arm Wars and some other super matches around the countries, obviously, like we were talking about right before, Korea and stuff. Which are some of your favorite events that you've been to? And what are some of your favorite super matches? Even if they're different cards or whatever, different places.
Yeah, so I got spoiled super early. My first tournament was actually the top 8 So we're Angerbayev, Porter Levon. And dude, that was maybe the best match I've ever seen in my life. I know he got killed like 6-0 or whatever, but his just never stopped. Like he really went in that match thinking he was going to win. And the dude was like broken up afterwards that he didn't beat Levon, which is insane because he weighed like 230 pounds or whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you watch the match, and especially live, like he's like dying just to get the slip, and he's like giving everything for that. And that kind of passion really hit me when I first joined the sport. So that was awesome. Then, sorry, you asked for my favorite event. So that was probably be it. What was the other question again?
Favorite event and then favorite super match you've pulled, even if they're different events.
Matt Mask was amazing. Probably that, or the one when I pulled the #1 Korean dude who's a Kings mover. That was a really big highlight. I think I did everything perfectly that match, and I trained perfectly as well for him. So that's those would be my two probably best super matches. Yeah.
And then favorite event?
It was probably that top 8 one, but if not that, it was my first East vs. West against Kyle Hutchinson. So it was way, I don't want to say underground, but like it wasn't near as many cameras and stuff. So like people felt more free to like talk about things and be drunk idiots kind of. So the Georgians, they were drinking like bottles of vodka, bottles of whatever. They're going crazy. Like Zurab is wrestling me with a broken arm and stuff. Yeah, and we were up. So the restaurant closed at like 2 a.m. and we just paid them a lot of money. We kept paying them a lot of money, and they stayed up to like 5 or 6 a.m. And they're finally like, we you have to get out of here. Like we have to clean up and stuff. Please get out of here. Then we were outside the lobby of the restaurant. So this is all in the hotel, like just screaming, wrestling, being idiots until they opened back up for breakfast like an hour or two later. We went back in and started like buying more drinks and stuff. And we were up till I think like noon. So we were up till noon because that's my flight was. And I almost raced Zurab or Samusha towards this gate in this distance. And I was going, and like there's these big flowers and these big plants. We're trying to like weave through them. Or I didn't realize he had stopped running. And I almost ran off this like 30-foot cliff that was just off the hotel. And they're like screaming at me. I'm like, shut up. And yeah, I almost like killed myself just trying to race, Samusha at 12 p.m. the next day. Then yeah, after that, I went straight to my flight and went back home. So that was a fun time.
Oh, it sounds like a great time. And then obviously you have a couple upcoming events. I've heard in the past that you've been at the Florida events and stuff. What's happened with that? I haven't seen a lot of the Florida events going on with Chance Shaw and stuff. What's going on with that? I know you pulled Philip Larson at don't know if it was supposed to be a Florida event or not. Whatever happened with that?
Yeah, so Philip Larson was an event me and Chance kind of co-ran. The Challenger Series 2 fell apart, and me and Chance, we were friends with a lot of the athletes, and I wasn't a part of the Challenger Series, but I like seeing good arm wrestling. So I kind of helped Chance out with that. And it was fun to hang out with the guys, like, especially like Philip coming down, it sucks that I lost to him, but it was definitely fun to, meet the guy when he was brand new and just see how good and smart he was. But except for that, the Florida events, it's actually a little depressing. Like the quality 4 years ago, I'll rewatch videos and like everything was so much better. Like the venue was nicer, the camera setups. We had Robert Kelly coming down. I think there was payouts and stuff, and it's just a lot of political. I don't know how this shit gets political, but it somehow got political. And there was like at one point 5 different Florida leagues happening at once, which is just retarded. So it's like you have like 10 person per league. So then Chance had family stuff. Then we started having these practice super matches because we got so fed up with the whole thing. So the practice I go to with Kevin Gagney, he has these poolside parish super matches. They're online and stuff, and we have some great matches there. But it's kind of almost filled the gap for everyone. So no one wants to go and pay for a tournament when they can have, they can have high quality refs. They can have, videotape matches, high quality matches with people they like in the first place, and that are like 10 minutes next door to their house. So that's kind of been the sad state of Florida arm wrestling at the moment. Yeah.
Oh, it's too bad. What are your thoughts on Philip Larson coming into the sport? Obviously, he's very new, but seen him on the rise. I know I've followed him for a little while, probably just going over a year and stuff. What are your thoughts of his upcoming match and stuff? He's got, I think it's against Manuel Battaglia, and then just his onwards and upwards.
Yeah, so from my perspective, and maybe I'm wrong, but I think Manuel is mostly a left-hand puller. So I think Philip should kill him. Like, I think this is a downgrade from that. But Manuel, have you seen his Instagram or anything?
No, I have not.
He's one of the funniest dudes I've seen. Like, just think Italian redneck, super funny, like wrestling pigs and stuff. Drunk all the time. I love the guy. I hope he has a good match for Philip, but I think Philip is going to crush him. I heard Philip might be pulling some really high level names after that. So I'm not sure what's out in the public yet, but he could be pulling a top 10 guy after that if he wins. Yeah. So, and I think Philip could do it. I think his mind, he understands what he needs to do, I think, for every match. So he doesn't really have any delusions or anything. Everything's very realistic to him. Like, he knew going in, like, he was 100% sure he was going to beat Matt, and he knew how to pull him. He knew exactly where the lane was going to be hit. And he's doing that working with dudes who aren't like really that strong, his training partners. So, sometimes you're worried, like, if he gets too strong, he's going to run out of training partners, but he's already been in that state for a while now. So I think he's actually good enough to get that good with just weight training and some like healthy table work. But the guy is crazy smart, and he's just a giant, bro. You saw his like forehead and stuff. He's like
Yeah.
some kind of Neanderthal or something. So just the perfect storm, really.
Yeah, no, that's incredible, and I wish him well. I heard he had a little bit of injury after his Mac match,
Yeah.
so I wish him well and stuff going on. Yeah, what are some of your inspirations in the future and stuff? Obviously, we talked a little bit about maybe going on and helping.
Yep. That is the priority right now. I'm just trying to figure out. I'm trying to get all my theology perfect. I was like telling you before we got on. Like, I'm here at the church right now, trying to just before I go out and like give aid work and possibly minister a little bit. I do want to have everything in my life. Like, I don't want to be in a bad place at all, and I want to have my theology good, so I'm not teaching people the wrong things. So I've been looking into that a lot. But that's going to dictate how much arm wrestling I can do. So I have my commitments right now, but there's a good chance I won't take any more on for a while. Then if I do med school, I'll definitely have, I mean, not definitely, hopefully I'll have time to arm wrestle and have, at least 4 years to keep doing it at some level. But if I end up deciding maybe that like I should not be arm wrestling on the Sabbath, that might change my arm wrestling, schedule as well. So there's a lot of stuff going on right now, but I do have a few events in the future, but just in the near future, nothing long term.
Yeah, no, I know about that. Like for me, it's always so hard to. I'm very lucky that our arm wrestling practice is in my garage,
Yeah.
and we practice every Wednesday evening. So pretty lucky with that and stuff. So yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure like that's going to be the case, but in the past I was pretty loose about theology. I was, I think what is that guy Cliff online, Cliff Kneckel? He's like stay big on the big and small and small. And I kind of did think that way until I got baptized, and it was like a pretty life-changing moment for me. So I am putting more emphasis now on some of the stuff I kind of disregarded for a while. So we'll see what happens though. Yeah.
No, sounds good. It's been great talking with you,
Yeah.
Brad. Thank you for coming on, and thank you all for tuning in.